Okay, no doubt you are here because you got an eye sty. Just like I have one right up there. That bugger has been annoying me for the last few days, and the way that I dealt with it, because I definitely have reduced it in size by at least 60%, has been to view it like a zit, okay? Not like some sort of mysterious wart or some sort of eye infection that is just so incurable that I have to sit with a tea bag on it. I personally don't, I don't think there's anything wrong with sitting with a tea bag or using a hot towel treatment on a pimple, but I don't think that's what worked for me when I was a kid. Generally, I ended up using a pimple cream, and so I'm going to advocate for that in a second. But first, I want to talk about cleaning it because I think keeping the area clean is very important so that the bacteria gets flushed away and so that ultimately it doesn't come back, it doesn't recur, and so that it dissipates naturally on its own. So what I did is I boil water, and in the boiled water, I'll mix in some salt. So you can mix in kosher salt, which would be, let's say, I would mix in a little under maybe a tablespoon for a cup that's 8 ounces. You could do a little less, maybe a teaspoon. And then your other option is to use sea salt, which would be less than a teaspoon for a cup of 8 ounces. Okay, and then what you do is you take that hot water that you boiled, because you got to boil it. You can't just pour tap water into your eyes. It's not healthy. And then you basically take that hot water and you let it cool down before you pour it into your eye. You do not want to pour hot water in your eyes. Let it become a room temperature or a little bit warmer than that, and something that's comfortable for you to flush your eye out with. Now, one technique to flush your eye is to fill up a container that has a nice round hole at the top. You could even use a shot glass and basically turn the container over when it's full of the saltwater mixture, and then just let all of that water go straight into your eye. And if it's nice and round and it has like a tight fit with your eye socket, that's even better, because then all the water will sort of just sit on your eye and flush out all of the debris or possibly an eyelash that may have gotten in or dislodged and might be in there somewhere causing that pimple or that blockage. So that's one thing. Salt water flushing into your eye. You can also basically fill up a cup with this salt water and then pour it over the eyeball after you have tried the first technique of letting it sit on the eye. And you would let it sit on the eye in the first technique for, let's say, 30 seconds or a little less even, as much as you can stand when the salt water flushing out the interior of your eyeball. Okay, now that you've cleaned it from the inside, you want to attack the outside. Now, the outside, some of the things that work very well against pimples are antibacterial soap. So you can use soft soap, which is very good antibacterial soap, and you can wash out on the outside only, okay, on your eyelid. You can wash it and keep it nice and clean, especially you want to get that portion where the zit is most apparent. That's probably going to be the most painful area of the eye sty, which is the actual eye sty. And then you want to go ahead, and then after you've washed it with some sort of antibacterial soap, you want to take some kind of zit cream. I was using azelaic acid. I have an azelaic acid cream. You can use a gel, and just put a dab of it or a light coat right over the pimple. And that will be something that will be very effective in bringing it down. Yesterday night, before I went to bed, this sty was red and puffy, and that pimple cream reduced it by, just a large amount overnight. But even more than that, it took away the redness. It made the pallor of the skin change from like a very dark red to all of a sudden a much more manageable color that looks a lot more like my right eye. So I'm really glad to have used this approach. I think that it's a wonderful approach to curing an eye sty, and I just want to share it with you so that you view it the same way. It is a zit. That's what it is. It's acne. It is unfortunately a blocked sebaceous gland. The oil is not getting through, and it causes a zit, and that's where the chalazion will develop. If you don't treat the zit, ultimately it's going to start getting more and more filled with pus, and it's going to come to a head, and it's going to look very ugly. So you really want to keep the area clean, and you want to attack it as much as possible in the opening days. Of course, you have to have a life, so don't, let yourself go completely with this. A couple times a day washing it out, and a couple times a day, especially where if let's say you go to the gym afterwards, you certainly want to make sure that you reapply, do the salt water, reapply the soap, and then put a little bit of acne cream right on the top of the lid in the area where it's most affected. Okay? Alrighty. Good luck in curing the stye. I know that these tips have worked for me, and I hope they'll work for you too, and best of health to all of you.